Maybe you can help me.
Yes, what seems to be the problem?
Well, my daughter was attacked while holding a prayer vigil yesterday in front of this Nazi death camp, and a table containing some pro-life literature was overturned, causing the pamphlets to be scattered by the wind.
Oh,
Would you be able to direct me to the person in charge here?
I am the one in charge, Mr.
American.
Mr. American, I am also the one who confronted your daughter yesterday. I will not have a bunch of loudmouth hooligans yelling outside of my building and preventing my clients from entering in.
Loudmouth hooligans? One of those loudmouth hooligans, as you call them, was my daughter. And on the contrary, my daughter was not the one yelling. It was you that was yelling.
You are not going to barge in here and point your finger in my face. Do you hear me? And yes, Mr. American, I will not allow anti-abortionist extremists to hand out propaganda in front of my building that threatens to take away a woman's right to choose.
Right to choose? It appears that the only choice they have is what you choose for them. If they decide to choose the propaganda, as you call it, isn't that their choice? And I would like to correct you. My daughter is pro-life and she was handing out pro-life pamphlets, contrary to your pro-death stance at this Nazi death camp.
Mr. American, your daughter is not to hand out her propaganda within a 100-foot radius of my building. If she violates my rules, she will receive the same treatment, or worse.
My daughter is a free American, Miss.
Miss Choice.
Oh, Miss Choice. And she has the freedoms of speech and peaceful assembly granted to her by the United States Constitution. And she will hand out whatever materials she feels she needs to hand out.
Mr. American, our facility is here to defend and aid women's right to choose.
To choose what?
To choose if she wants to have an abortion. It's her body, you know.
Well, yes ma'am. If she wants to abort her body, I suppose that is fine. But it looks to me like she wants to abort somebody else's body though.
Mr. American, it is a fetus inside the womb. It is not even human.
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Choice. That was proven wrong in 1874. You need to get up to date on your science. It is human the instant it is conceived.
Sir, the fetus is not human because it is not viable outside of the womb. It cannot live on its own.
Well, neither are you viable stark naked on the North Pole. I mean, is the baby viable after it is born? Lay it on the sidewalk for a couple of months and let's see how it does. Now, think about that logic. Just because it cannot live on its own, does that mean we have the right to kill it? I know kids that are 25 years old that still go borrow money from their dad, even thought they ought to live on their own by now. Huh? Sounds like justifiable homicide according to your thinking.
Mr. American, you are very intolerant and bigoted. Typical extremist.
Did you know that you are not allowed to hunt deer at night using spotlights so that the deer have a sporting chance?
What in the world does that have to do with anything? You are mad.
Why don't we give the baby a sporting chance? In case you don't know how it works, there are 3 people involved here: the mother, the father, and the baby. If we have to murder one of them, why is it always the baby? Why don't we abort the mother once in a while? I've got a brilliant idea. We should pass a law in this state that says, if a woman goes in for an abortion, the doctor will have a jar with 4 marbles in it. 1 marble is labeled baby, 1 marble is labeled mother, 1 is labeled father, and 1 is labeled doctor. You reach in the jar and pick out a marble and decide who dies. Make it a lottery. Give the baby a sporting chance. Don't you think that would be reasonable? I bet that would stop abortions in a hurry, would it not?
You think that you are really something, don't you, Mr. American?
No, Actually, I don't. But I do think that your Nazi death camp should be shut down and the lives of countless babies would be saved.
Well, how can you expect a woman to go through the pregnancy if it was caused from rape or incest?
Well, then you kill the rapist, not the baby. Execute the rapist and adopt out the baby. Very simple.
Mr. American, not every woman can afford to have a baby. The child may be a financial burden.
Well, show me a kid that is not. Every kid is a financial burden. Come on, Miss Choice. You are just making excuses to justify your sin and the sins of others. Aborting a baby is murder.
Mr. American, abortion is legal in this country.
Just because it is legal doesn't mean it is right. Did you know that in 1936 the German Supreme Court declared that Jews were not persons? If you were Jewish and you lived in Germany, you were not considered a person. So when Hitler's guards killed the Jews, it was perfectly legal. They had no rights whatsoever. They slaughtered them by the millions. And we think of that as horrible. That is exactly what is being done to millions of little babies in the womb every day around this country. It is murder.
I have heard enough, Mr. American. You can leave now. And you can't take your anti-choice ideas with you.
I've stood next to the ovens. Watched the place where thousands and thousands of them died and were cooked to ashes. They've got a giant mountain there where the people are buried. I was there a few weeks ago in Nuremberg in the courtroom where they had the trial. The Germans stood up and said, "We were just following orders and it was perfectly legal." Did their logic hold up at the trials? No. And you abortionists, your logic is not going to hold up at God's trial either. It is murder, plain and simple. You know, during the Revolutionary War 25,000 Americans died. During World War II 400,000 Americans died. So far in the war on the unborn we have had 38 million babies murdered by abortion. And we pray, oh God bless America. God says, forget it. I'm going to judge this country. We deserve God's judgment.
Please leave, Mr. American. I cannot stand any more of this.
Well, I will leave you with it, Miss Choice. And my daughter will be waiting to hear an apology from you. She will also be returning to hold prayer vigils outside this death camp until this place is closed down. God bless you.